Today we're making the hearty, comforting Italian pot roast known as Stracotto. Here are all the ingredients. Let's get into it right now. So I always like to go over the ingredients. It helps me, but it's more important that it helps you because you're the one I want to make this dish, and it is a delicious dish. And the major component of it is beef. So I have a chuck roast here. Chuck roast is great, it's gonna shred. I did a lot of research for this recipe. A lot of the times it wasn't chuck roast, they were using a rump roast or something like that. You can do that too, but this is going to be more tender. So we're gonna use this today. It's like kind of like the tried and true roast that you wanna use for a pot roast. This roast is braised in a tomato-based liquid and like red wine. So we're gonna put 1.5 cups of dry red wine in it. You can use Cabernet, Merlot, Chianti, anything like that would be totally fine. A little bit of olive oil to sear our roast and to saute our veggies, but you can also use pancetta or lard to do it. That would be great. I have 3 celery ribs and I have 3 medium carrots. We're gonna shred those. So I almost want it to like disintegrate in the sauce. And I have 1 large onion that I finely diced. We're gonna shred those, but you can also shred the onion too. You could shred everything to make it all kind of disintegrate. 1 28-ounce can of plum tomatoes. Okay, we'll just hand crush those. 2 cups of low sodium beef stock. I use Better Than Bouillon just to mix it up, the reduced sodium version, but you would be better if you had a no sodium beef stock here. Tomato paste, we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of that. That's gonna increase the body. I have a lot of garlic here, about 8 or 10 cloves. We're gonna slice it into slivers and we're gonna put them into the roast. That'll be the first thing we do before we sear it. And then a whole bunch of aromatics. So again, in my research, there were all different recipes. We're using different ingredients. This is what I kind of fell into and I like a lot. The recipe says 10 sprigs of thyme, but I just grabbed a bunch. 5 or 6 sage leaves, 3 bay leaves, and I like a cinnamon stick in there. It just gives this just wonderful flavor. Finally, after our roast is super tender and we'll cut like chunks of it, you're gonna be left with a lot of sauce. So the sauce can be served with polenta. We have a recipe on our website. I'll link that if you wanna go to polenta route, which would probably be the most traditional route. You could also serve it with a big loaf of crusty bread, mashed potatoes, or you can do pasta. So the picture, the reason why you clicked on this, there's pasta in the thumbnail, and I went with a pound of pappardelle here. Now this is probably the least traditional way, but I like to do things my way. And this is kind of not just what I like, but my kids are gonna like this way a lot too. So I recommend you make that executive decision at the end. If you love polenta, go for it. All right, let's get into searing the beef right now. We're gonna do a little shredding here. I just like to use this so I don't have to break out my food processor, but feel free to throw all this in a food processor. Should I peel my carrots or not? I'm gonna do it today, but you don't have to. I was watching a video long time ago of Emerald. So somebody asked him, because he had carrots, they go, "You're not peeling that carrot?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Why?" You know? He's like, you can do, just wash them, scrub them well, you can use them. I would peel them if like your presentation is a carrot, say you're making like spring rolls or something like that where, you're gonna see them, then definitely wanna peel them. I mean, you could just keep going with this and shred it all like that, but we'll use this. So you can use this side here, okay, those holes, or you could go like even finer, so it's up to you. But if you're a big food processor person, then just go for it, because this is gonna like start going all over the place like it is for me. Okay, but it'll be like that. And then if you go thinner, you'll get a much finer shred. So we're gonna do this for the carrots, and you're also gonna do it for the celery, which is gonna essentially turn to water, because that's like 99% of celery. Okay, and you can keep it all together. You don't need to separate it. Okay, so those vegetables are completely like mush almost. So yeah, I mean, break up the food processor. It's gonna be easier if you have one, okay? But if you don't, use your cheese grater. Speaking of cheese grater, this is cheesecloth. Here's my thyme. I'm gonna put it in here. I'm just gonna stick everything in here just to make it a little bit easier to fish out later. I'm removing the stems here from the sage. I don't know if the stems are bad or not, so I'm not gonna take a chance. All right, so I just wrapped it like kind of like a cigar, and I'll just tie it. This will just make it super easy to fish out later. So like if you had cloves, juniper berries, any of that, you could stick it all in here, and super simple then. Okay, 1 can of tomatoes, 28 ounce. You can also use crushed, so you don't have to do this. These are whole, okay? And then we'll just put these in here. You could use a bowl instead of something like this. Clean hands, okay? You're gonna break and then shield hand, okay? I am right-handed, so I will use my left hand as shield hand. If you don't wanna do this, you could throw these in a blender and just pulse them for a couple seconds, or you can put them straight into our sauce later on and then use like a meat masher to like kind of break them up. Okay, so we're gonna season the beef and sear it. These are very small garlic cloves, okay? But still, cut this like this, just make little slivers. And then these slivers we'll be able to insert into our beef. Just like from a small clove like this, maybe you get like 3 or 4 pieces. You can make points on them, but it doesn't matter because we'll make nice holes with our knife. Okay, so here's our beautiful roast. It's pretty dry, but dry it off more. Listen, what I'm doing here, I'm seasoning it and then we're gonna sear it quickly. You can dry brine this overnight, or the more technical term is salt it overnight, okay? When you do that, the salt will penetrate into the beef more, okay? The water will come out, then it will go back down, hydrostatic pressure. This is what happens in your basement when you get water in your basement, okay? It gets pulled inside to your basement. You're doing the same thing with the meat. But we don't have time for that now. We're gonna do it like this, which is gonna be the way most of you do this. This is 3.5 pounds. We wanna do 1 to 1.5% salt ratio, okay? Whatever salt you use. So 1 tablespoon of Diamond Crystal Kosher salt is 10 grams. We need 23 grams, so that would be a little bit more than 2 tablespoons of Diamond Crystal Kosher salt if you want to adhere to that 1.5% ratio. That's probably a little too much salt here. So listen, let me give you the non-sciencey way to do this, okay? Just salt it well, okay? Seriously, because honestly, doing it, getting a nice coating on it will get you right around that 1 to 1.5% level. If you don't have these, get these. These things are awesome. I have my salt one, which is smaller, and then this one is a divided one, so I keep the hot pepper and some black pepper there. Now, you know, this black pepper is not gonna be as good as crushed black pepper, but it's really easy when I need to do this, you know, just to hit it up on every side. And then you can just take this meat and just rub it all around to get all the last bits of your salt and pepper. Sharp knife here, okay, like this. Just make a slit. Okay, see like a little slit like that? And then take one of your pieces of garlic and just push it in there, like that. Okay, and then you just like push it together. All right, so let's do like a few at a time. I just like kind of wiggle it back and forth. Okay, 1, 2. Don't go crazy here. I did like 6 there. I'll do like 6 on the side. I'll probably put like 15, 20 pieces in. The remaining bit of your garlic, just save. We'll just add it into the pot when we do our vegetable saute. Okay, I have a Dutch oven that will accommodate my roast and the tomatoes, the broth, the vegetables. It doesn't have to be super large. This is like I think this is a 5.5 quart. So this is definitely not an 8 quart. It's gonna turn the heat to medium, maybe a touch more. You can use avocado oil to sear it. You can use vegetable oil. You can use olive oil if you like. I mean, it doesn't matter. So we're just going to sear this for about 3 minutes per side, just until it gets nice and brown on each side. Will give us more flavor. It'll make the pot roast taste a lot better. Okay, so it's like a minute or 2, and we'll just keep going. Sear it on every side. You can do a light paper towel before you put it in, just so, because some of the water will start wicking even from salting it for a couple minutes in advance. Okay, it's been like 8 minutes. So I got about 4 sides, and there's about 6 to 8 sides here. This is almost like a cube, the way this thing was tied. But you see like beautiful color on here. And then wherever the sides are still red, just hit it up, okay? It's gonna make things more flavorful. Okay, this is good, it's been good enough. It's been about 15 minutes total. Okay, look at that, right there, beautiful. Okay, I'm just sticking it over here and on a plate or whatever, and just tent it with foil. Okay, here's all the onions, let's get them in. There's a lot of brown bits on the bottom there. It's getting very dark, so what we can do is we can deglaze right now, like add a little bit of water with these onions, okay? Just like that much. See this, how it's all coming off right now? I'm basically cleaning the pot, okay? Cleaning the pot. A little bit of salt here I'm putting on, okay? The whole bottom of that pot is clean. Now this water will evaporate very quickly, and once it does, then we'll be able to continue sauteing this. I want to saute these onions for about like 10 minutes, maybe 12. I want to give them a nice head start before I add my shredded vegetables. Okay, because these are the biggest pieces. The other two are shredded and a lot smaller. And here is that beautiful roast. Okay, so water is completely evaporated here. You see these onions? Now we're about 3-4 minutes into our saute. You can add a little bit more oil. I'm putting olive oil now, okay? But we just want to keep that pot relatively clear. Say we were like doing like a lot of different things. We could just keep adding water or a little bit of beef stock or wine, anything like that, and then just scrape the bottom with your spoon. Okay, so that's been about 10 minutes on those onions. Okay, we gave them a nice head start there. Now let's get in our celery and carrot mush. Okay, there's liquid in here, but if it all at any time starts to burn, splash water, wine, or stock, and or lower your heat, and or take your pot off the heat. So like that's like if you're like in trouble and it's burning quickly, you take your pot off the heat. That's it. This is doing well. I'm gonna let it keep going. Again, any burning, you just add a splash of liquid in there, but this is really gonna help just get like ultra sweetness and just melt into our sauce that's going to cook for 3 to 4 hours in the oven. Red wine that I have here is this one. This is a nice wine, so we'll just, you can have a glass of this with the meal if you like. If you can't have alcohol, can't have any wine, you can make this without it. I would just, instead of using the 2 cups of beef stock, I would go up to 3, maybe 3.5. Touch of burning there, maybe. So just touch a splash of water. That'll just give us exactly what we need to just lower that temp just a little bit. All right, so we got the wine ready to go. After you get this down for like that extra 10, 15, you can add in your garlic for like the last minute if you like, that remaining garlic that we have. Put it in there, and then we'll just cook this for about 2 more minutes. It's 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. All right, so I'm gonna cook this in here for a couple minutes. Just stir it. Again, any burning, splash of liquid. That's it. Sound like a broken record. We're doing real cooking here. We're not doing TikTok, not doing Instagram Reels. By the way, I do have those fake videos on Instagram Reels if you do want to watch them. You won't learn anything there at all. Okay, we're doing well here. Okay, our pot, everything's doing well. We got our wine, so we'll go to right here. Okay, right about there. Okay, real scientific pouring. So turn up the heat to a boil, and then we will scrape any remaining brown bits. We're not gonna have much because we've been taking care of our pot the whole time. Okay, and I forgot to tell you, 325-degree Fahrenheit oven. Make enough room that will accommodate your Dutch oven and the lid, okay? So this has been going for about a minute. It's been boiling, that's fine. Here is our 2 cups of beef stock. Okay, I'm just using the low sodium, better than bouillon beef base. Okay, and then here is that 28-ounce can of plum tomatoes. This smells incredible already. I mean, the aroma is breathtaking. Right, Tara?
Oh, yeah, it smells amazing. I smell the wine.
Yeah.
A lot right now.
When the wine hit like the vegetables and all that, oh boy. Okay, that is our perfectly tied aromatics. Now let's bring this up to a simmer. Okay, that is simmering nicely. You can turn off your heat now. Again, one more time, just feel the bottom, everything's okay. Let's get this beautiful roast right in there. If you have any juices left from your roast, which we don't have much, you could just pour it right in there too. So heat's off. I'm not gonna season the sauce now, anything like that, okay? We're gonna get reduction. You can do this at the end. You have plenty of flavor in here already. You already seasoned the beef and all that, okay? Cover on the pot, wipe down your pot, and then we're gonna put this in the oven for 3 hours at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. After 3 hours, we will check our roast for tenderness. Simple as that. Okay, it's been 3 hours. So I checked it halfway point. I just turned it over on its side because the way this thing was tied, it just kept getting higher. All right, let's check right here with our fork. Super tender, super tender. You'll cook one and it'll be 3 hours and it'll be tough. And then you'll be like, did I get a bad cut? Just cover back on in the oven, do it for another 30 minutes, check again. If it's still not to your liking, another 30 minutes. I'm telling you, 99.99999% of the time, it will get tender. But sometimes it just doesn't happen as soon as you think. This one did. So we have plenty of sauce here. We have lots of fat on top. Let's start boiling our pasta right now. I'm just gonna put this off to the side for a second, but we'll degrease it in a second. The pasta I'm going to use is a little different. I think I had 17 or 500 grams, which is like 17 and a half ounces. This is just a pound, standard US pound. Still pappardelle, but yeah, polenta would be totally fine here. It actually would be better and it would be more traditional. But we'll cook this till al dente, we'll degrease, and then we will bring the taste tester down. I'm gonna put the roast in this big plate and a platter, and then, you know, we'll put the pasta on there too. We have plenty of sauce here. That's why I like to make it like this. You have enough sauce for 1 pound of pasta. Okay, there's our beautiful roast right here. My pasta's like a couple minutes away from being finished, so timing will be good. So this is a beautiful looking piece of meat that you can just leave on the side here. You can cut this into chunks, you can mix it with the pasta, or you can like give each person like kind of a big chunk. So the choice is yours. This is 3.5 pounds is what it went down to, so you know, it's what happens. Keep it warm, a little bit of foil, tented, okay? So here you go, that's the sauce. I mean, maybe you like all that fat there. It's not too much, but I will do, you know, that Jacques Pepin technique, which some of you get really annoyed with. Take it up with him. And all this will do is it will act like a sponge for the fat, because the fat rises to the top. Okay, it's a ton of fat right there. All right, we'll do it one more time. Okay, now the sauce is perfectly degreased, and that took a second to do. And let's check the pasta. You know, when you're doing a ragu, when you're doing something like this, you know, everybody wants to eat, and your sauce is perfect. Just cook your pasta al dente to how you like it. Take a nice big amount of sauce like that. Make sure your pasta is well drained, and then just give it a little toss. You don't need to overdress it, all right? There's plenty of sauce on the side for people. Even doing like one little knob of butter here, nice. It'll allow everything to kind of emulsify and stick. Not much at all on there. Do a little bit more. Oh, that's so delicious. By the way, check your sauce. I didn't go over it. Check it for seasoning, salt, pepper, anything if it needs it at the end. This thing tastes perfect like this, but I suspect because I like heavily salted the beef. But if for some reason like you don't have enough, you add whatever you like. You can also, you know, get rid of your you know, your sachet of herbs like this, which did a hugely beneficial job. James didn't even know. He had this about 3 weeks ago. Because I told him what it was. He's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Beautiful chunk of beef there for you. And I want to give you a little bit of sauce too. Okay, might be a little hot.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of the beef,
Really?
but I really like the pasta.
What's wrong with the beef? Let people know.
It's a little like too fatty.
Well, it's a chuck roast. I'm not going to remove all the fat for a pot roast. That's the thing.
Not all of it, but like maybe some of it. But I really like the pasta.
Since I made a pot roast today with pasta, you can't just you can't just judge the pasta.
I feel like you either have to have the pasta alone or the beef with like mashed potatoes or like grits.
I cut it into chunks right now just for, you know, for presentation, but this is a pot roast. Anyway, people are getting mad already that I'm trying to like justify the rating here.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just that like the pasta is so good. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. All right.
So you would prefer it though if it was served with like polenta.
Yeah.
Maybe you would like it better if it was like completely shredded and mixed back in with the sauce than just like a chunk of beef.
Yeah, you could
I
do
think
that.
I think I would like that.
We appreciate your honesty. We always appreciate your honesty. That's what makes you the best taste tester on the internet.
I know.
Yeah, see, I mean, that does say a lot. You left the beef there.